smells like football, baby.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Fantasy Football Smackdown. I'm your host, Kyle August. It's been a minute. Sorry for last week. Life happens. Hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving, though. We were able to manage the waiver wire on your own. Apologies for not having a show out last week, but I'll be with you the rest of the way. We are down to the stretch run here, as hopefully you've already punched your ticket into the playoffs, but if not, a big couple of weeks coming up. Got teams on bye again this week and next after a Week 12 action where there were no teams on bye. So still important to be managing the waiver wire and making those added drops throughout the week, but most importantly on Tuesday. So it's good to be back here with you guys and appreciate the patience. So let's just jump right into this thing. We got a good one for you today. Two teams on bye in Week 13. We got the Arizona Cardinals and the Carolina Panthers. So maybe not a ton of firepower, but definitely players that we've been using down the stretch here. So Cardinals, Panthers on bye. And just of note, there is Week 14 bye week. So if you're in the hunt still, make sure you're on top of looking ahead, waiver wire sniping. If you know, you know. Top three ads, regardless of position, owned in less than 50% of Yahoo leagues. Top of the board, I'm going with Kyren Williams. 36% owned, was the lead back for the Rams. I know that offense is not what it once was, especially if Matthew Stafford is going to be out for LA. But I still like Williams' timeshare, how he was getting at least an even split there with Cam Akers on the early downs work, but is locked down the passing downs production for this Rams offense. So Kyren Williams at 36% owned is a must-add, in my opinion, after what we saw with Darrell Williams not on the team. Number two is Zay Jones. The dude has 20-plus targets over the last two games, coming off a monstrous performance this last week. Zay Jones, 25% owned. And number three is Michael Gallup, 48% owned, looking healthy the last couple weeks. Had a nice game on Thanksgiving Day. QB streamers for Week 13. Marcus Mariota against the Pittsburgh Steelers, 38% owned. That one's going to be in Atlanta, so I like that. Pittsburgh on a little bit of a shorter week, just wrapping up on Monday Night Football. So I like Mariota. Again, the rushing, you know what it is. Jared Goff at home against Jacksonville, 46% owned. Is my number two QB streamer. Did have the 2 touchdowns on Thanksgiving, which was nice. A lot of running back touchdowns for that offense, but hopefully Goff can put some in the end zone against Jacksonville. Number three is the sensational Mike White. Of course it is. 4% owned at Minnesota, looking to stay hot. And number four, Kenny Pickett at Atlanta in that same matchup. We saw, again, lots of run there for Pittsburgh against the Colts. But that Colts defense has been pretty good against the pass. I think Kenny Pickett's an okay streamer if you're super desperate. Or maybe if you're the Aaron Rodgers zone or something like that. 11% on Kenny Pickett. So again, Mariota, Goff, Mike White, Kenny Pickett. Running backs, Kyren Williams, like I mentioned at the top, he is my number one regardless of position at 36% owned. He must be added. Even if you don't need a running back, block the rest of your league mates if for some reason Kyren Williams was still left on your waiver wire. Number two is Benny Snell. He's 1% owned right now. He would be probably number 2 or 3 on my overall, except I'm recording this just as Monday Night Football ended. So no real news yet. You guys are going to have more of a benefit to that than me recording this. So adjust accordingly. If it sounds like Najee Harris is going to miss some time, then I'm definitely adding Benny Snell, even if it's for a 1-week play. Jaylen Warren was a DNP all week heading into Week 12 due to a hamstring injury. So I don't expect him just to bounce back and necessarily play without even practicing last week. So as of right now, Benny Snell is going to be my number 2 running back ad and would launch up my overall rankings if I knew that he was the guy in Week 13. So keep an eye on Benny Snell, 1% owned, so available everywhere. Number 3 and 4 are the Jacksonville running backs. Again, if you get a little bit more news than I have right now on Travis Etienne, I would take a look at Darrell Henderson, 47% owned, or Jermichael Hasty, 3% owned. Hasty's been there the majority of the season, came in there for Jacksonville after the Etienne injury last week. Darrell Henderson only been there a week and was a healthy inactive. So I'm not quite sure which one of these guys it would be. It'll probably be a split of some sort if it wasn't Etienne. But again, even if I don't need these guys, this is the time you should be blocking your opponents, adding those handcuffs that your fellow playoff teams might be looking to have on their roster as well. And Xavier Knight of the New York Jets, 1% owned. Knight was active over the veteran James Robinson. And then we saw Michael Carter go down with an ankle injury. The severity of that right now is unknown, but if he is scheduled to miss any time, Knight could be the guy that they lean on. I would go Knight over Ty Johnson, over James Robinson as well. So I don't know that I love any of them, but if I had to go with one, it would be Knight. And again, 1% owned. He's available everywhere. He should at least be stashed. Wide receivers. I got a bunch here. Zay Jones, like I mentioned at the top. The guy has been dominant as of late. Over 20 targets over the last 2 games. He seems to be the clear-cut number 2 guy. Even Christian Kirk cooling off a bit. This offense has also kind of phased Evan Ingram out just a bit as well. So Zay Jones getting a ton of looks. So he's going to continue to be a target hog there in Jacksonville. Something fantasy owners should take advantage of. 25% owned, especially for PPR leagues. Zay Jones is a must-add. Michael Gallup, 48% owned, like I mentioned, looking a little bit healthier this last week. Still should be that number 2 option for the Dallas Cowboys, who have a decent schedule down the stretch for sure. So Michael Gallup, 48% owned. DeAndre Carter still playing third fiddle as far as snaps went for the LA Chargers on Sunday, but was number 1 in targets behind Austin Eckler. So DeAndre Carter, if Mike Williams continues to be out, Carter should still have a role at 23% owned. He could definitely be added. Kendall Hilton, the health of Jerry Jeudy dependent here, 1% owned. I know this Denver Broncos offense has been horrible, but if you've been rolling the likes of Hopkins, Hollywood Brown, DJ Moore, you could be looking for a wide receiver fill-in this week. I think Kendall Hinton, is a fine option this week that you can go ahead and stream at receiver. Corey Davis returned from injury this week. He was the number 2 receiver for the Jets behind Garrett Wilson. Even though Elijah Moore got the headlines, Davis was still out there more, and expect that to continue. He was a top 30 receiver in 3 of his 6 games earlier this season before the injury. Jarvis Landry comes in at number 6 at 23% owned. This is a little bit dependent for me. I want to see Jameis Winston under center. If Jameis Winston's under center, then Landry turns into a flex-worthy play. They have the Monday night game against Tampa next week. I know Landry's coming off a bad game. That entire Saints offense was horrendous. Hopefully this will be what we need to see Jameis back as the starting quarterback for the Saints. And number 7 is Van Jefferson. Getting those fluky touchdowns the last 2 weeks has boosted him just a bit. I still like him as a stash candidate, though. I'm not going to start him. I need Stafford to come back for one. But with Allen Robinson now out for the season, that was announced after the game on Sunday, Jefferson is at least a little bit more interesting if Stafford can, or for whatever reason, does end up back under center for the Rams this year. 2 tight end streamers this week. At the top of the board is Foster Moreau. This guy has not come off the field since becoming the starter for the injured Darren Waller. And Moreau gets the LA Chargers this week, which is one of the best matchups for tight ends at 39% owned. And coming off a TD, Foster Moreau is clearing away the top tight end streamer this week. But at 39%, only may not be available in your league. So I would take a look at Tyler Conklin. As long as Zach Wilson isn't under center, Tyler Conklin's been decent this year and definitely streamable at Minnesota, 18% owned. And for you DST players out there, it's easy as pie. Just find the Houston Texans and play whoever's going against them. And that's going to be the Cleveland Browns, in which will be a much hyped up matchup as Deshaun Watson returns to the NFL. Facing off against his former team. Wow, if this wasn't manufactured drama, I don't know what is. The Cleveland Browns at 7% owned, going up against Kyle Allen-led Houston Texans offense should be great DST play. Green Bay Packers going up against the Bears. That one's going to be on the road at 37% owned as Justin Fields is out. Packers are streamable. And the Seattle Seahawks on the road against the Rams, 18% owned. I don't love those divisional opponents on the road, but when you're talking about the Bears potentially playing Trevor Siemian and the Rams playing, who cares if it's not Matthew Stafford, those are definitely some good streamable options for week 13. So there you have it. Appreciate you guys tuning into the show. Again, sorry about last week, but I'll be ready for the stretch run here as we wrap up the 2022 season. I'll be back with waiver wire sniping at the end of the week. Again, there are week 14 buys. So we got some work to do here still as the season wraps up. So until Saturday, I'll catch you boys later. I'll see you.